So, what is the EPA's future? I want everybody think about this and reflect on this. Is funding of EPA very useful? Is it very beneficial? Is that very important for our environment? Probably most of the people in my class will say yes. But some very conservative people talking often about elimination of EPA. And some more liberal parties are talking about increasing power of EPA. Which side are you in? I can tell you the White House 2018 proposal of deep cuts to EPA would face resistance from many lawmakers, but this is what they're trying to do. They try to cut off the budget to EPA by 20%, and they try to eliminate a lot of programs, and that will impact EPA's core functions. And I also want to point out President Trump voted to get rid of the EPA in almost every form, leaving only little tidbits intact. And he has done a lot of things to achieve his goal. If you read the newspaper, right, published 2 days ago in New York Times, you will be shocked to see the list of what his administration have done to reverse a lot of environmental laws. So, lastly, I want to mention really quickly the environmental problem is an international problem. We need all the countries to participate in this process. Over 150 global environmental treaties negotiated since start of 20th century. At least 500 bilateral agreements in fact dealing with cross-border environmental issues. So the local regions, counties, and the states have to deal with this together, such as the reintroduction of the Yellowstone wolves, right? That involved at least 3 states. And so it is not surprising a lot of environmental problem will involve a lot of countries. They have to work all together on the same page, maybe even on the same pace to tackle the challenges. And the successful efforts is 1961 Arctic Treaty, 79 transboundary air pollution, and the 1980 Montreal Protocol. So that is the trend of unified efforts by many countries to solve the same environmental problem. The barriers to carry out those international agreements is there's no international legislature, and there's no court. There's not an international court can really force those decisions. However, a network is growing of multilateral environmental organizations that have developed a greater sense of their rules and a greater incentive to work together. So largely this does not depend on court. It largely depends on the willingness of the environmental people are working together. So important lessons have been learned through the crafting of those international agreements. The first lesson we learn is scientific community plays a crucial role. And the second lesson we learn is using incentives is much more effective than punishment. As a teacher, I feel it's the same thing with teaching. Rewarding people's behavior is much more effective than punishing their wrong behaviors. And I like some of the country bring up those concepts of green consumerisms and they start to use eco labels. So what are eco labels? They are bunch of green certification program, which is the third-party verification of compliance with criteria for environmental management practices. So those eco labels were passed because certain products meet certain criteria for environmental practices. And look at those beautiful labels from different countries. If your products meet a certain criteria, is very environment friendly, your products will be labeled as one of this. And in United States, one example is Energy Star, right? If you go to the appliance store to buy washer and dryer, they will put those labels like STAR, STAR. You know, they are very energy efficient. That promote people to consume those products. The last thing I want to say is what goes around comes around. It's a karma, and it all comes back to us. No matter how fabulous the laws are, how tough the EPA is, or whatever authority figures are, eventually it largely depends on us individuals to love and protect our environment. So to change everything, we need everyone. And thank you so much for taking this course and walking with me through all those interesting concepts and all those very real environmental challenges. And it is an honor to have you in my class. And I wish you best in the future.